Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name is Joe. In this video, I will be taking a first look at the game Vive L'Empereur. This is, it says the second edition. It's really kind of the first edition. They just changed publishers, I think, from White Dog to Blue Panther. So this is a Hermann Luttmann game, and he worked with his usual development partner, Fred Manzo. And they also had an assist from Ryan Heilman. So that's kind of like having a power trio like Rush do a game design here. But all kidding aside, obviously, I'm a big fan of Hermann Luttmann's games, most of which he's done with Fred Manzo. So and Ryan Heilman has done some great stuff as well. So this is kind of an exciting development, you might say. Anyway. As you can see, it's a solitaire war game of the Battle of Waterloo, June 18th, 1815. Now, Waterloo, of course, is a game that's is a subject rather that's had probably as many entries game-wise as things like the Battle of the Bulge and Stalingrad. But that doesn't mean that the subject wouldn't benefit from a treatment from Hermann Luttmann and Fred Manzo and Ryan Heilman. So. Let's flip her over real quick. Now I've peeled the shrink off, but I haven't actually looked inside the box yet. So this is going to be the first time I've seen it. I took the shrink off only because of reflections with the lights and everything. So this is a solitaire hex encounter war game, as you might expect, depicting the decisive Battle of Waterloo. I'm not going to read this whole box. This is a solitaire game. As we've already established, there is a fairly low number of counters, 162. That's including markers. There's a player aid. There's activation tables for the bot side. The bot will play the allies, the coalition, whatever you want to call them, the enemies of France. In this case, that would be the Anglo-Allied forces under Wellington and the Prussian forces under Marshal Vorwärts, aka Blucher. And obviously on the other side you have France. You are playing as Napoleon, essentially. So you can see that it has a easy to use and unique bot opponent. It does use kind of chit pull activation, so it is very much in that kind of vein of most of Hermann Luttmann's other games. He's kind of the master of the chit-based activation mechanic. But anyway, as you can see, we've got game design by Hermann Luttmann, development by Fred Manzo and Ryan Heilman, and the game and box art by Tim Allen and Ryan Heilman. 1 to 2 player game, so you do have the option to ditch the bot and have a human opponent play as the Anglo-Allied army, Anglo-Allied and Prussian forces rather. So let's take a look inside the box. All right, so we have our counters right on top. We got a bunch of dice here, 3 red, 3 blue, so 6 dice in total. It's kind of nice. Just put those out to the side for the moment. Here are our counters. We've got 3 counter sheets. They're kind of half sheets, so it's like a sheet and a half if they were, all on one page, so to speak. They look like fairly standard Blue Panther, although the size is a little larger. And you have all your forces on here. These would be the French. You can see we've got 2 Napoleon activations down here, commander activations, and then you have activations for some of the other leaders. And then you have obviously units, so you can tell by looking at them. These would be infantry, this would be artillery, and these would be cavalry, what you would expect to find in a Napoleonic game. 2-sided. They have a stripe on the back that's probably based on his other games, something along the lines of Battle Worn, I would guess. Imperial Guard, 4th Corps, so on and so forth, 3rd Corps, etc. Yeah, so there's that. Then we have some more forces here. There is Marshal Vorwärts, Blucher, Bulov, Thielman, Zethan, and then you have some British forces. You can see the little Union Jack down here. And there he is. Wellington, Arthur Wellesley, and their forces, of course. And then we have some markers. So you've got your, whoa, they punch out pretty easy apparently. So that having happened, we can take a look at one of the counters here. So this obviously is a disrupted counter. And you can see, I'm guessing -1 strength point. Oops, sorry. I'm not sure what the other ones are, but the SP I'm going to guess is a strength point loss. And then on the other side you have a shaken side as well. My autofocus is acting up a little bit, but that's okay. So we do have a bunch of markers here, as you might expect, like basically a half sheet with controls, French control, Allied condition marker, Butterfingers, and so on. So you do have, you know, more activation counters here as well. The rule book, which appears to be about 16 pages, if I can extract it from the box. So, yeah, so we've got our typical kind of Blue Panther rule book here. It's paper, not glossy, but not, well, maybe like pseudo-glossy, maybe something like along those lines. But you have your explanation of the various counters. What the, ER is Elan rating. So that, I believe, would probably kind of be a morale thing, and it does say overall morale and quality. So it's a combination of morale and quality, which makes sense. Fresh and battle-worn sides, as I suspected. You've got multiple steps, panic test, etc. If you've played Hermann Luttmann games before, there's probably a lot in here, and I haven't gone through all the rules yet, but there's probably a lot in here that you'll recognize and maybe pick up fairly quickly because, you know, I don't think he reinvents the wheel every time. He modifies and adjusts as needed to fit whatever the subject matter is and the mechanics that he wants in the game. But there's a lot of his fingerprints, so to speak, consistently throughout. We have our sequence of play, advance the game turn, draw your markers, or activation markers, activation phase, activating the French, which would be the forces controlled by the human player if you're playing solitaire. There's a whole bunch about that. Then we have the activation of the Anglo-Allied and Prussian units, and then the end phase. Prussian arrival. If I'm assuming you're probably somewhat familiar with Waterloo. If you're watching this, Napoleon in the 100 Days campaign had kind of split the forces of the enemy. So you had Wellington kind of off on one area, and Blücher had been chased off to another area. Obviously, the Prussians arrived, and that's what really kind of swung the battle. So you have the Prussian arrival, the retreats, victory, and defeat. Game setup information. So this is kind of your historical setup. Then we have, over here, we have an alternate kind of scenario. Where is Grouchy scenario? Yes, it is tempting to say grouchy, but it's Grouchy, I'm guessing, I think. And then you have the new Waterloo scenario where you actually can do your own deployment of the French forces. A rainy start. And on the back, you have the information, I guess, about the two-player stuff. So you can remove the two-player activation stuff and have your opponent do it. Fixed start, historical Prussian arrival. So these would be the two-player versions of these, I'm guessing. So that's the rule book. Then we have our player aid. Or, well, there's the player aid, and then there's the activation table. So this is two-sided. Commander activation tables. Yeah, this is funny. La Petite Caporal for Napoleon. The Old Nosy table for Wellington, and Alta Forwards means old forward. Old forwards, forward for Blücher. And yeah, the scum of the earth, a bad day for Napoleon. You know, little historical flavor in there for you. Sequence of play, and then all kinds of stuff here. So this will be highly useful, as you would probably expect. You know, all the information, I'm guessing, or most of the information you need to play the game is going to be on here. You read the rules, you get familiar with them, and you use this to kind of guide your play. would be, I'm assuming. And I am going to play this month, very soon. Then we have our Anglo-Allied Prussian Corps activation table. This is going to determine or be the guide for how you activate your units. Looking at the numbers here, I would say we're rolling 2 dice and using like the 11 to 15. So if you rolled a 1 and a 5, maybe red is 1. You roll that's a 15. Let's say. I'm assuming that's what it is, because down here we go to 63, and then 64, 66. So you can see that does appear, in fact, to be the way it works. And of course, you can't have a game, a tabletop war game, unless you have a map. So we do need to have a map. You can see most of it, I guess. I can zoom out a little bit here. Let me pause a moment. Okay, so here we have a view of the map. It's well done. I mean, it's very easy to read. Obviously, you've got your higher ground here, the various hills, crest marks, etc. Roads are easy to see. Stars, I'm guessing for victory point locations, etc. like that. The cities, the various towns, etc. And our turn chart here. Yeah, all very functional. It's not a gigantic map. I would guess this is probably like 17 by 22. And I would have to confirm that, but I believe that's what this is. So decent sized map, not giant, but a very concentrated area here. So yeah, so this is, of course, like I said, this is Vive L'Empereur, Solitaire Wargame of the Battle of Waterloo. This is from Hermann Luttmann, published by Blue Panther. Development by Fred Manzo and Ryan Heilman. So I will be doing this very soon for a gameplay video as part of November with the Emperor. And I always look forward to playing Hermann Luttmann games, so this is going to be a lot of fun. So look forward to that sometime in the next week or so, hopefully. But yeah, that's going to do it for now. So you have questions, comments, etc. As always, please let me know. But otherwise, that's going to do it. I'm Joe. This has been Hexed Encountered. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.